It's Bengals, it's Chiefs, a rematch to determine who will represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Hi again, everyone. I'm James Rapien with allbengals.com and Cincinnati Bengals Talk. And yes, the Bengals are just one win away, 60 minutes away from a potential Super Bowl appearance. First time that they're going to be in the AFC Championship game in my lifetime. First time since 1988. The city is buzzing, and at the same time, there are a lot of you, rightfully so, worried about the offensive line. Most of our comments the past couple of days have either been celebrating the fact that this team is in their first AFC Championship game since 1988 or the offensive line. So you're going to hear from Brian Callahan on the offensive line, the Bengals offensive coordinator. Plus, you're going to hear a good cut of Brian Callahan on Joe Burrow. But first, I want to look at this matchup a little bit because it's something we saw at Paul Brown Stadium a few weeks ago. Week 17, the Bengals rally. They were down 28-17 at half. They rally to win 34-31. It's a huge win. And yet they're still not even close to favored on the road. They're not. This isn't even close to a pick 'em. This isn't close to 3 points or anything like that. 7-point road underdogs are the Bengals according to mybookie.ag. And by the way, you can wager on mybookie.ag on this game or any game throughout the rest of these playoffs, whether you want to wager on the NFC title game and more at mybookie.ag. Make sure you use promo code BengalsTalk. You're going to get a 100% deposit bonus. That means they're going to double your first deposit. But getting into this game, two things. First, the over-under, it's 53.5. Again, I like the over. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this one, much like the last one, where it was 34-31. And that's where this starts, because I know a lot of you had the preference, all right, well, it's the Bills, maybe the Bills. To me, the Chiefs' defense is beatable. And that's the part of it. And you might see on the other side, well, there's Chris Jones and there's Melvin Ingram. And yeah, but they don't do the same stuff that the Titans do. The Titans beat the Bengals with disguises and stunts and twists and different things to confuse the offensive line. The Chiefs don't do as much of that, nearly as much of that. They say, all right, Chris Jones, go win. All right, Melvin Ingram, go win. Go get pressure on the quarterback. And I'm not saying Joe isn't going to be pressured. He's going to be pressured. And that's the other part of this. If the Bengals are going to continue to make this run, right, Burrow's going to get hit. They're not going to be able to sign Andrew Whitworth for the Super Bowl if the Rams lose to the 49ers. They're not going to be able to go out and get anybody that you think. I don't see it happening. And so, well, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to try to solve as much as you can. And that's something I talked with Brian Callahan about and asked him about. What's realistic? Because there aren't new personnel. There's not new guys that they can bring in to block Chris Jones and Melvin Ingram. They can't have a pre-AFC title game free agency spending spree. So how do they fix it this week? What do they need to fix? Obviously, this is one of the many keys to victory going into Sunday's matchup. Here's Brian Callahan on what the Bengals can do to shore up the offensive line at least a little bit before they play in Kansas City.
You try to fix things that are easily fixable. And what I mean by that is it a communication thing? Well, we can fix that. Is it a technique thing? You can address it. Sometimes you can fix it. Is it just a really good player playing really well? Sometimes it's hard to fix those. But the communication ones are the most important. Things that you can fix. And then with Joe, you're always going to be mindful of the fact that he can make people miss, and sometimes he does, and he gets out clean. And there's huge plays down the field as part of his play style. Certainly would like to see every now and again if he really feels like he can't get out of it to just throw one away and save a sack. But, that's how we're going to play, and that's how we're going to win. And Joe's going to be who he is. There's no change in that right now. At some point in his career, he'll get tired of taking some of those hits and he'll throw it away. But as of right now, that's what makes him special. And we're not going to try to take that away from him. Obviously think he can make most of those plays when he gets out there. So we're just going to let him play football.
I just think this coaching staff knows this is the way they're going to play. This is the way they have to play to reach their full potential, to maximize their full potential. Joe Burrow is so good at going off script and making plays that they're going to have to put the ball in his hands. That doesn't mean they're not going to run the ball, by the way, but they're going to have to put the ball in his hands and let him make plays. That's why they drafted Jamar Chase. That's why they're going to have T. Higgins on the other side and Tyler Boyd in the slot. And that is the way the Chiefs, at least, if you looked at that defense, especially against the Bills, that's the scariest for Kansas City. So they're going to have to do that. And Burrow's going to get hit, and it's going to at times make you flinch and go, It is. But if they can solve some of the communication stuff, and not just offensive line wise, they need to solve it offensively in general. Because this team, if they're going to win, they have to score. 30 was the magic number. I think they might have to go on the road and score 40. 30's been the magic number for me all season long, right? If you want a shot at some of these games and beating these top teams, I've always said 30 points. It might be 40. With the way Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, and it not just those, because Byron Pringle made a bunch of plays, and then the running backs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, one of Joe Burrow's good friends, and Jamar Chase's former teammate. They look pretty good on Sunday night against Buffalo, as has Jerick McKinnon over the past few weeks out of the backfield. So they have weapons on weapons on weapons. And by the way, they have Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball. It's tough. It's tough to envision them, this defense, holding the Chiefs to 3 points in the second half, or holding the Chiefs to just 31 this week, to be honest with you. And I'm not saying they can't, but again, this is a different animal. This isn't a DJ Reader game. You're going to need Trey Hendrickson to get pressure. You're going to need to win the turnover battle like they've done in recent weeks, and you're going to need to keep Joe Burrow upright, because when you keep him upright, you see what he can do. And that's the thing, in the reason I think the Bengals have a pretty good shot here. They don't get rattled. If they would have gotten rattled, it would have been against Tennessee, this physical team that's just beating the hell out of their quarterback time and time and time again. And they blew a 10-point lead, and the crowd was going crazy, and they kept their composure, and they made plays. And that's what they're going to have to do, because the Chiefs are going to make plays. Travis Kelce's going to have big catches. Tyreek Hill is going to make a play or two. He might score a touchdown. He might throw up the peace sign. All of that stuff could happen. Burrow's going to get hit. He's going to get sacked. There's going to be negative plays on offense. They need to be able to respond the right way, and they've done that up to this point. And, the line, at mybookie.ag, it's a bit high for me. 7 points is high, and it's like that across, the sports betting landscape. But my bookie, to me, I like a little teaser if I'm giving you advice. So if you use that promo code Bengals Talk, a mybookie.ag teaser, I would tease that 7-point line for the Bengals and take that 3.5-point line, because the 49ers are 3.5-point underdogs. I would tease those up. I would make the 49ers 9.5-point underdogs, the Bengals 13.5-point underdogs, excuse me. And then you combine them together, and you only win if you hit both of them. But that's, to me, a tease where the 49ers have beat the Rams twice. The Bengals have beat the Chiefs once, and I think that they can keep it within, that 13 range regardless of what happens. So that's where I'm at. In, again, mybookie.ag, promo code Bengals Talk. To me, this offense is ready for this challenge. Jamar Chase, they could double him, but then you have T. Higgins on the other side. You have Tyler Boyd. And I do think that this could be a game where Joe Mixon gets going a little bit. Not a ton, but gets going a little bit. And he's showed some flashes of it, specifically that first drive of the third quarter against the Titans. This Bengals team, they're going to have to run the ball to keep defenses honest. And the good news about this matchup to me is the fact that Joe Burrow has seen these guys. And yeah, Patrick Mahomes is gifted, and he saw the Bengals defense, and you could say the same thing about the Chiefs. The edge to me, though, and Patrick Mahomes is better than Burrow in a lot of areas, right? He's got a stronger arm. He can go off platform, do that little sidearm thing, all of those things. But you know where Joe Burrow is better than Patrick Mahomes? Mentally. Burrow is so good at facing a team the second time around. The Ravens, blown out last year. This year, kicks their tail in twice. You can't zero me. Has faced that defense multiple times, different variations of it, whether it's, Jacksonville or different places like that. And guess what? He answered the bell every time, it seems like. Swept the Ravens. Then, same thing. Lose to Pittsburgh last year. Play well against that defense this year. And a lot of those same guys were around. So to me, and those are just two examples, but that bodes well for Joe Burrow's chances of duplicating what they did in the second half of that game. And they're going to need to. Like I said, this might be not only you got to score 40, but the team with the possession last, the ball in their hands last, wins the game. And so The Bengals offense has to bring it. You have to get the absolute best out of Jamar Chase, the absolute best out of T. Higgins and Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon. And so to get that, you need Joe Burrow to completely know Steve Spagnuolo's defense inside and out, not get confused at all. And yeah, they're going to have some wrinkles, but I asked Brian Callahan how big of an advantage, because it's an advantage for both teams and it's a disadvantage for both teams. How big of an advantage is it to have a quarterback like Joe Burrow, someone that intelligent, especially pre-snap, to be able to face a team for a second time after just playing them and beating them in Week 17?
Yeah, I think familiarity is always is an advantage. It's an advantage for both teams. Now it's now becomes more like a division game in that sense that we have familiarity. We know the players, we know the scheme, they know us as well. It's not like they don't have an advantage too. So I do think it does. It presents itself some familiarity, which is helpful, and then you have to be ready to adapt or adjust to whatever they show you. Just like you would in a division game, they're always going to have something else potentially up their sleeve for you that they haven't shown, whether it be a coverage or a blitz or however that works out. So I do like having Joe playing a team a second time around. He does tend to respond well to those things, and he's played well the second time we've played teams because again, it's the familiarity aspect of it. He knows the technique, the players, their strengths, their weaknesses. Those things are certainly helpful. So again, it's like a division game for us in that sense, where we're playing a team in close quarters. From a couple weeks ago to now, and about 3-4 games have gone by, and we'll see what they show us on Sunday. But I do like the idea that Joe sees the team first. It does help when you play him a second time.
And it goes back to communication. Again, I'm going to hammer communication this week. They have to be able to communicate at a high level. And if they do that and they give Burrow even, a little bit of time, I think he's going to be just fine. And, it should be a fun one. I think that the Bengals are going to be able to score points in this game. Can they win the turnover battle? Can they keep Burrow upright enough to where there isn't any strip sacks, sack fumbles, things like that, negative plays, big sacks that lose 15 yards and take you out of scoring range? That's a big one. It happened against the Titans too much. Part of that's on Burrow because he was confused, but a lot of it's on the offensive line. Can they fix those things? Because if they could fix those things, I think they have a really good shot. And that's all you can ask for this time of year, ladies and gentlemen. All you can ask for is a shot. Joe Burrow doesn't think they're underdogs. According to mybookie.ag, they are 7-point underdogs. Again, promo code BengalsTalk to get a 100% deposit match. It's going to be a fun one. We're going to be loaded. I'm working on some spicy special guests here this week to preview the AFC Championship game. So hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you ring the bell so you get our notifications. And buckle up because we're going to Kansas City. The hotel is booked. We're going to be there. We'll be at Arrowhead Stadium. And between now and Sunday's game, we're going to have you covered every single step of the way. So for our editor, Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien signing off for now right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk.